Hey up everyone, what's going on and welcome back to York City, where final Champions League group stage game is going to happen today along with West Brom in the league. Realistically, there's not a lot this match can do unless Barcelona beat us 6-0. We'll probably end up top here. And with only one game in the league, there's not a lot to get you caught up on. 4-1. A 92nd minute consolation goal. This keeps happening. Did kind of forget to show you the league table at the end of last episode after we beat Manchester City. With a Leicester win, we are now second. Arsenal 4th, Liverpool 3rd, Man United top. 4 points still separating that top 4. Both of the Chelsea, Man City on 2 points further back. Sheffield United getting into this picture. They keep winning. Godoy with another couple of goals sends him 3 clear of a midfielder in Maybury. Good work from him. But that's it. You can see here, by the way, 4 matches against Barcelona in the past, 2 wins, 2 draws. They've not won a single one. Admittedly, the first one was a friendly a little while further back, but in the group stage a couple of years ago, we drew them 1-1 at home and beat them 4-0 away from home. So, interesting. Even more interesting is that all 3 of those players are still here. I did not realise we had Ramirez back then. I thought he was last year. How time flies. Now, we did do a little bit of rotation against Leicester, but not a drastic amount. I've just realised. Castillo at left back. Welcome back. There we are. Everyone else is sort of back. Carpentier will be on the left-hand side of the attack. That's the only real major change. It's just because Ramirez is a smidge tired, despite being in better form. I don't really know how full strength I ought to go for this. I'm half tempted to put Nacelle on the bench out of nowhere. I think what I will do, because it doesn't really matter all that much, is I might bring Battams onto the bench for an opportunity here. Of course, the only other main team news is the fact that Xiaonan, obviously injured in their Man City match, still out for quite a while. In fact, I'll put Gonzalez on the bench so we can possibly get some game time later in the match. Hopefully, if things are going okay. But considering our position in the group, I don't feel the need to go properly defensive for this one. Christian in goal, Castillo, Azarta, Rick, Fiore, Vidal Seri, Carpentier, Vidal and Cantoro, and Godoy up front. 13 goals for Godoy this year, already better than last year's haul. Admittedly, last year's haul pretty much stopped in November. Really hope that doesn't happen this year. I suppose he's already scored in December this year, so that's progress. They appear to have learned from last time and decided to actually play their best striker. Admittedly, not a big game player though. Not a big game player. Intriguingly, this time they decided to warn me about Ansu Fati, which makes a lot more sense. He is their best player, most likely, although Reynaldo, who was the person they warned me about last time, has just scored an absolutely ridiculous free kick. Not like a player called Reynaldo to score free kicks. But there we go. Arguably not great work from Christian there. At least good news for Jean-Claire Todibo is this time we are playing Godoy, who hopefully he has been prepared for this time. Meanwhile, 4 of our players get booked and nothing else happens. So he whips a ball in. Azarta's at the back post. We love that. We love the old classic 1-1. Like I say, unless they beat us 6-0, they're not going to go top of this. A 5-0 in the head-to-head really affects any chance of them, even if they win, of changing the table at all. Of course, a draw means everything stays as it is. Rodriguez has got a corner. This has started with a corner as well, so this does worry me. Bender's got it out to Fati. Okay, so apparently we're playing only bangers today. 11th goal of the season for Ansu Fati, though. He has been in good form, seemingly. Just ends up a Bender on this edge of the box. Fati, first time, smashes it. Not a lot Christian could have done with that one, seemingly. Perhaps amusingly, a 2-1 victory takes their goal difference to 0. Barcelona haven't been prolific in the Champions League this year. They've got most of the wins, but they've not exactly been prolific. There was 9 goals going into this last match. Meanwhile, we had scored 19. Admittedly, 13 of those were against Atalanta. Bender's clean through here. This could be 3-1. It is 3-1. Bender's dangerous. Doesn't like a big match, but I have no idea why Man City sold him. He was their best striker as well. But we'll watch it again in 3D just to give him credit for it. My only worry about losing to Barcelona, of course, is morale. Sorry, Christian. What? Did you really think he was going to attempt to kick that directly between your legs? What were you trying to save? Anyway, Christian on the ball now. Still on the ball, seemingly 5 minutes later. Finally giving it to Azarta. Still going forward. And all the way back to... Why? What? Dear Football Manager and Sports Interactive, please can we cut out these 60-yard back passes? That would never ever happen in a real game of football. Sergio saved that one quite nicely. Godoy might have been offside anyway, so that was an entirely pointless highlight. And as this hurtles towards full time, seemingly, I'm making 3 changes at exactly the same time. Kovalev, Barwick and Ramirez all on. Gonzalez does not get any game time because we're not in a controlling position. I mean, this has been the most boring 3-1 I've ever seen. There's been 4 goals and no other highlights, except for ones that were entirely pointless. Where did that game go? And what I particularly like about this incredibly boring game, in my opinion, is the fact there was only one milestone as well. It wasn't even interesting for stat fans. I mean, that was terrible. Doesn't matter, still top the group. Oh, Lincoln lost. Good news is we got through the group stages without any sort of major bans in the next round. Castillo's out, but we've got 3 left backs. Tell you what, I do spy the first knockout draw between the West Brom matches, so I will continue through to that and let you know what's going on there before we end today's episode. Well, of course, after this, January is approaching. We have £114 million in the transfer budget if we want it. I triggered a couple of Spanish release clauses of youngsters just because we've got the money, might as well. They might get good. And we've also received a fair bit from 50 league appearances. Aston Villa have paid us £4 million, and actually, ironically, Barcelona paid us £7.5 million for Dutra's 50th appearance as well recently. So that's all gone back into the bank. But I've got £114 million if I want to spend it. As I said last time, it's a baffling position to be in because we've got no real necessity to go out and buy a player. Because all the players that would actually improve the team right now are worth that amount of money. It's the wages. It's the wages that are the problem, because if you go out and buy a person for that amount of money, their wages pretty much almost always are far, far higher than we're paying anyone right now. And it's sort of something I've not really mentioned. I have been keeping a relatively tight wage structure to this club. James Grimes has been on 125 grand for about 2 years. No one's challenged that yet. Parkinson was the only one that kind of broke it in the sense that he's a rotation option. I thought he was better than this, I'm not going to lie. But pretty much it's around 100 grand is what a lot of our players are on right now. And if we go to the actual wage per annum, we're down in 10th again. Teams like Wolves and Southampton and Everton, Wolves have obviously just got re-promoted, but teams like we did go 7th at one point behind sort of all the big boys, but Everton and Southampton have started paying people more again. I'm just nipped past us. So whilst we've got the transfer budget, the wage budget, and the wage structure more importantly, kind of limits us from buying those absolute world-class players that are already world-class. Courage isn't happy about the lack of playing time, as you might imagine. So we're sort of in that position where we can either buy more players that might develop, but they're not going to get in the side right now. We've got great players right now who might become world-class, or might just stay as good or great players. We don't know. We don't know if they've got development space or not. Speaking of great players, by the way, Carpentier is up for Golden Boy. I don't know if we have any others. World Player of the Year came and went, by the way. No, none of our players were in it this time. Apart from the major tournaments, that's actually possibly my favourite thing about being England manager, is seeing the candidates for World Player of the Year, because it gives me a better scope of what the situation is. Hello, we've got a preview as well. Don't expect much from this youth intake, for crying out loud. Admittedly, again, I presume these previews are sort of factored against your current playing side, who of course are back-to-back Premier League winners. So when they say like a lot of these are going to not reach the required standard, they could even be like low-level Premier League players in the long run, and they'll probably still say this. Recently had to improve our intake as well, though. That's something that's gone through recently, request-wise. But in terms of facilities, they're all maxed out right now, apart from data analysis, which I kind of forgot about. Just reminded me, recent comment on an episode asked me to go through the tactics, and considering this has turned into a little bit more technical of an episode, rather than just straight up being about the matches, it's not really changed at all. With the technical side that we've got, we do sort of tend to work it into the box. Obviously, with the fullbacks we've got, we do overlap with them. We play a little bit higher tempo because we're usually the better side. We play a bit shorter as well. Try and play it around players, sort of use our technical passes to our advantage. We play for set pieces, of course, because we've got great set piece takers and great defenders to get on the end of it as well, of course. So it's basically all the things you'd expect. Arguably, we could probably play be more expressive. These are kind of that sort of thing that you change mid-game. Attacking width, we keep it fairly standard for obviously the system that we play. In transition, now that we're a decent side, we counter press. We do the counter as always. I don't think I've ever had a side that doesn't have counter on. Try to play it out quickly again, get it to the fullbacks rather than the centre-backs. I send it to the fullbacks rather than the centre-backs, so then obviously the fullbacks try to run on a bit, pass it to someone in the centre, continue their run, get the overlap on, and so on and so forth. We throw it long as well rather than roll it out because they're over here. And again, we just go higher, not fully on high on. Again, not fully pressing. I find that tends to be slightly detrimental. Gives us an opportunity to sort of go a step further if we need to as well. I hate get stuck in because it just gets people sent off. And yeah, we don't do tighter marking either, just because I don't. That's sort of an optional one as well. Depends on who you're playing against. If you're playing against great runners as well, people who can turn and run against you, that can work against you. So I have it off as standard in case I forget to turn it off more than anything. But yeah, it's the same system we play, and obviously against West Brom we'll go attacking. I always like to start on a front foot, regardless of who we're playing as well. It just seems to work. Playing cautious, playing whatever, even like playing like you are the worst side, even if you are the worst side, mentally, just seems to punish you for whatever reason. But yeah, that's the tactic. It's the tactic we play for pretty much the majority of the time, even really since the championship. Obviously, there's been little tweaks as we become more of a dominant side in our division that weren't there when we were sort of, second fiddle in the championship, second fiddle in the Premier League. Obviously, when you're not one of the better sides in your division, then counter press turns off. When you lose the ball, retain your shape. That's probably one of the main advice things I give. What's going on here? Is he about to put it over his own line here? What an absolute shambles that was of a goal. It's gone down as an own goal for the goalkeeper. Right, we need to watch this one in 3D. And we do go up to first with this right now. Foyth, I don't know what he's done there. He just carried it towards his own goal line. He kicked it again. Is that right? Does the goalkeeper get the final touch? No idea. Absolutely no idea. That might genuinely be the worst goal that's ever been scored. I love how we went from two absolute bangers from Barcelona in the last game to that. Sammy is one of those players that West Brom actually have still. That's still pretty good. Torre, though, having a chance here. I might show Sammy in a second just because he was on my radar as a potential poach. Rick heads clear, though. Seri heads it behind, despite the fact that the goalkeeper is running to claim that. Questionable decisions being made in this game so far, I would say. Fidal, though, going to run clear of this one, and I think highlight probably going to be over once he hoofs it forward. Godoy does get on the end of it. There's a chance to... Nope, never mind. I was about to say play it inwards, but doesn't get that opportunity. I do realise I didn't change absolutely anyone in my squad. Gotta say, though, dominant. West Brom's sort of fallen off a little bit. Oh no, Vidal's been injured. Well, the way this game's set up, I'm just going to go two up top, I think. Godoy on the left, he is left-footed. So yeah, like I said towards the beginning of the season, I'm training 4-3-3 as the third tactic now rather than the 4-4-2 or the 4-2-2-2, depending on how you like to look at it. Right, okay, that's problematic. They're both lower leg injuries. Are they just... What are they doing? Why has nobody been sent off for this maliciousness? Clearly. I mean, weirdly enough, we do have Battams on the bench, so we can go back to an attacking midfielder if we so desire. I mean, that wasn't intentional. There probably should have been someone else on the bench instead of Battams today, but never mind. Bit of a shambles at the back again happening there, but they're now running clear, so this might be a chance for them, or it might end as soon as we shepherd him out of play, and it's ended. See, sometimes you can read the game. I do love the fact that West Brom still have Jensen Littler, though. Obviously a player we had on loan for a year and a half, I think, pretty much. I'm going to bring Kovalev on the left-hand side. Castillo's not played terribly, but he's booked a late demand more. Might see something happen, I don't know. West Brom still only have had one shot. I mean, these games have been thrilling. I think it's a throw-in for us. It's got to their goalkeeper. I genuinely for a second there thought the ref would call that. Branco does get the head to that, but Azata reacts very quickly. Lovely work from Azata there. Plays it safe quite a long way back to the goalkeeper, but it was a pretty safe choice that time. Can we kick it forwards this time, though? I mean, it's gone back to the goalkeeper for a third time here in the 94th minute of play. So, yeah, and we're only 1-0 up. So you can probably work out what my brain's doing right now. Carpentier, though, has managed to get... Oh, my Lord, he's sealed that. It's his first goal of the year. How has he only scored one goal so far? How is that his first goal? I mean, what a way to say that you're 100% back. I mean, no wonder he's been on a 6.7 all year if he hasn't scored yet, but whew, he's been saving it up, apparently. There's another highlight. I mean, we can take it back a notch now. No need to go full speed ahead for the remaining 90 seconds of this game. In theory, at least we'll get past Fiore here. I saw that one coming. He's still going to come. Rick's decided to mark the striker, which, fair enough. Why are there so many... There were no highlights for pretty much the entire 45 minutes of the actual half, but as soon as it's gone to injury time, we're having all of the highlights. And they've gone attacking the very end, which is probably why we're getting a little bit more out of it towards the very end of this match. But Kovalev's been dispossessed, it's been played forward, because they're trying a little bit more. We're hitting them on the counter, of course, as well. I mean, if we concede at the end here as well, I'm going to be incredibly annoyed, because it will be like the 4th or 5th injury time goal that we've conceded. Weirdly enough, none of them have really affected the game. They've all been consolations, but we do tend to concede incredibly late, continually this year. Carpentier with a fantastic piece of wasting time there by running across the entire pitch sideways. Vidalson on the edge of the box probably should have got a goal there. Fortunately, it's ended up with one of our players' feet who was offside, despite that being pinball and not really anyone intentionally kicking it to our own team there. I suppose they're the rules, though. And it's 2-0. We kind of made a hash of it, though. And despite... It's weird, it's 2-0, but I want to say that, and I know it's going to confuse one player. I'm very happy. Why is that angered Rick? Sorry, for some reason this has caused a chain reaction of people to go from good to bad. Right, Godoy out for 2 to 3 weeks, pulled calf muscle, so it wasn't an injury from another player. They're both pulled calf muscles, great. Don't have a natural attacking midfielder first choice for 2 to 3 weeks. That's fine. I did say I would progress to the draw for the next round of the Champions League as well. So we'll get there. We'll get to that. I think that's taken us top temporarily. I'm fairly certain other teams have yet to play, though. That's the reason. Yeah, Man United seemingly play tomorrow. It was actually Liverpool versus Manchester United, and Liverpool have won that match, which means they actually join us on 38 points with a slightly worse goal difference, which means we do stay above them. But the top 6 are now separated by 5 points. What a season this is turning out to be. This is the best season yet, in my opinion. It's bizarre. It's kind of the first year that I've not really overly cared about the Premier League, because obviously Champions League is now the main target. It's almost as if it knows and it's trying to go, look, I'm still relevant. Meanwhile, Getafe hold Barcelona. So in theory, despite the fact it's gone off my calendar for whatever reason, the draw is today. There it is. So we're one of the seeded teams for this one, along with Lyon, who topped their group, and Porto. Wait, did Benfica also? I can say Benfica were in the Champions League final last year. I'll be surprised. So 2 Portuguese sides topped their group. What is happening in Portugal right now? But 3 English sides, Real Madrid, Milan, and Lyon. Lyon? PSG clearly second in their group, though. I mean, you look at this, the second seeds are pretty strong. I mean, Barcelona we can't get, thankfully. Bayern and PSG await. I can't remember the first knockout round avoid same nation, so Chelsea might be avoided as well here. Schalke drawn first against Milan. Despite the fact Milan obviously beat us last year, that's an arguably quite weak tie. 2 Sky Blue sides face off. Benfica get Bayern, that's a toughie. Dodge PSG though, which means we're guaranteed Hoffenheim because Barcelona are the only other undrawn side. You know what? Out of those, you would definitely have argued the German sides. They were 3rd last year in the Bundesliga. Their media prediction is 5th. They do have this lad who was on my radar. I did try to get hold of him this year because he's got a very strong left foot and the attribute spread is more winger, in my opinion. It's the same kind of deal with Carpentier, although slightly stronger, I would argue. I think he would make a very good inside forward on that Ryan side rather than a straight up striker. He was the one that I was considering. I can't remember what happened to this deal. I think his wage demands were just way off the chart. Like they were like 200 grand a week and he just wouldn't budge. He was the one that would have been like a massive upgrade on Cantora rather than sort of a rotation option. But it didn't go through. So there we have it. Hoffenheim in February and March, but next time out will be the Tottenham and Liverpool games, I think, in January. So until then, thank you for watching. Ta-ra.